Living by yourself, living alone. It's got its perks, it's got its benefits, but it also has its drawbacks as well. What is going on, everyone? My name is Chris Vincelli. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing the advantages and disadvantages, the pros and cons of living alone as opposed to living with roommates. Now, for much of my adult life, I have lived alone. However, I've also lived with roommates as well. So I feel like I'm pretty well equipped to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of living by yourself. I speak from experience, and so I'm not gonna waste any time. I'm gonna dive into the 7 pros and cons of living by yourself, and I'm gonna go into it right now. All right, and so the first major benefit of living by yourself is that it offers you all the privacy and independence you can ask for. You can do anything you want, anytime you want, and you don't have to answer to anyone. So if you wanna cook something up in the middle of the night, you can do that. If you wanna play music that you like, you can do that too. If you wanna wake up early and get in a early morning workout in your apartment, you can do that too. You don't need anyone's permission to do anything. And that is a pretty good benefit of living by yourself. The disadvantages, however, of all that independence and all that privacy is that you're not living a very sociable life, at least not by default. You're not coming home to anyone. You don't automatically have a friend that you can chill with at any time of the day. You have to make an effort to actually meet your friends or make new friends. And if you're not a very outgoing or overly extroverted individual, you might have a hard time actually making some new friends or hanging out with friends on a regular basis. By being alone, by living by yourself, you're not gonna have someone with you. And yes, that privacy and independence might be very convenient. It might also be a drawback as well. Keeping that point in mind, another great benefit of living by yourself is that you can have anyone over at any time. So say family wants to visit for a weekend, well, they got a place to stay. And say you want to have friends over for a nightcap after a night on the town, well, they can come over too. You really don't need anyone's permission. Your guests, whether it be family, friends, or significant other, pretty much have an all access pass to your place, and that can be very nice, very convenient, and I think the people around you would appreciate having that easy access to your home. On that point, however, you might want to keep in mind that it might actually get a little lonely unless you have friends over, unless you have family over, unless you are hosting and entertaining guests. Yes, you will be alone and you might get a little lonely. That is a bit of a drawback, a bit of a disadvantage. The other drawback you might encounter is that since you are living alone, a lot of people might take it for granted that they can come over to your place whenever they want, even at times when you don't want anyone over. You might come to regret that all access pass. Okay, and the third thing to take into consideration is your responsibility for pretty much everything. You're responsible for keeping your home clean, for keeping things in order, and that can be a great thing. I mean, it's nice coming home from a long day of work and coming back to your home exactly the way you left it. You know you're not gonna find any messy surprises left by your roommate. You know they're not gonna be leaving a stack of dishes for you to wash. If there is a stack of dishes, it's your stack of dishes. And because everything is your responsibility, you're not gonna be building up any sort of resentment for a roommate if they don't mop and vacuum the floors, or if they don't clean the dishes. You're not gonna be fighting over things like what temperature to leave the air conditioning at. Everything is your responsibility and you get to live the way you wanna live. The drawback, however, is that you can't split responsibilities. Everything is yours to do. So for example, cleaning the dishes, doing the wash, mopping the floors, vacuuming the floors, cleaning the toilet, that's all up to you to do. That is all your responsibility. You can't delegate to anybody. You can't even split those responsibilities. You have to do them yourself. And doing house chores can be annoying and they can also be time consuming. So keep that in mind when thinking about living by yourself. And that brings me to my next point, which are the costs of living alone. And the beautiful thing is there is no drama when you live by yourself. You know, you're not relying on anyone to pay their fair share of the electricity bill, of the water bill, of the cable bill. You're not waiting on anyone to pay half of their rent. You don't have to deal with a roommate who is late on their payments or who's asking for some sort of extension or delay in their payments. And that honestly is a nice thing. You could budget things accordingly, and you can budget things according to your lifestyle. But then again, one disadvantage is that you can't split your costs. You can't split your electricity bill. You can't split your cable and internet bill. You gotta pay for all that yourself. Another thing you might wanna keep in mind is that the cost of living somewhere is always a little bit more expensive when you're living by yourself as opposed to living with a roommate. For example, the rent for a 1-bedroom apartment in the neighborhood I live in is around $2,000 per month. However, the rent for a 2-bedroom apartment that you could share with a roommate is about $3,400 a month in the exact same neighborhood. Meaning that if you divide the rent evenly between both roommates, you're paying $1,700 a month as opposed to $2,000 a month if you're living by yourself. So while there may be no drama in paying for things like the rent and your utility bills, it's also likely going to be a little bit more expensive to live by yourself. All right, there are a few more points I want to go over, but before I get into them, I do want to let you know that whether you've seen my content before or if this is the first time viewing one of my videos, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you can be notified every single time I come out with other great and similar content. And if you haven't done so already, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and smash that like button. YouTube loves it when people like my videos. It helps grow the channel. It helps with the algorithm. So please do me a favor and hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. Oh, and by the way, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm also there as well. All right, the fifth thing I want to talk about is personalization. The ability to customize and personalize your living space. And that is definitely one of the major benefits, the major advantages of living by yourself. You get to personalize and customize pretty much your entire living space. So you can bring in the TV that you want, you can furnish it the way you want, you can decorate your home the way you want, you can bring in whatever sound system you'd like. Heck, in some cases, if you want to repaint the walls, you're free to do so the way you want as well. You can customize and personalize your living space. So whatever photos, whatever decor, and whatever furniture you want to install in your home, you can do so without anyone's permission. But then again, someone's gonna have to pay for all that stuff. And if you're living by yourself and you wanna furnish and decorate your own home, that can be pretty expensive. You're gonna be on the hook to pay for all of that or to provide everything you need in order to live comfortably. So if you have a really great TV, but you don't have a couch to sit on while you're watching TV, you don't really have a roommate to provide that couch for you. You're gonna have to get all that stuff yourself, and yes, that can get expensive. All right, the sixth thing to think about is the peace and quiet you get of living by yourself. There are gonna be no disturbances from anyone in your home when you live alone. And that's awesome. If you do want to have some quiet time, if you want to just sit down and read a book, you can do so without the fear of being disturbed by anyone else. Same goes if you want to take some time to study for something, or if you just want to work on something really important, you're going to get that quiet time. No one's gonna be disturbing you. However, that silence can be deadly. And in the event of an emergency, you won't really have anyone to turn to. God forbid something were to happen to you, you don't have anyone to rely upon. You can't count on someone to help you out or save you. And yes, that is a pretty far-fetched idea, but accidents do happen inside of people's homes sometimes. And while you might need some quiet time every once in a while, it's also nice to have someone to chat with on a pretty regular basis. And if you're living alone, there's no one readily available for you to chat or have a conversation with. So this might be a point you want to consider if you do like having someone to talk with on a regular basis. All right, the seventh and final point I'm gonna bring up are the rules. And when you live alone, there are no rules. Better yet, you get to make your own rules. It's your own kingdom and you're the king of the castle, which is obviously very convenient and very comfortable. However, keep in mind that living alone, living by yourself, is not very reflective of the real world. We live amongst thousands, if not millions of people in our societies, and we have to be considerate of others on a day-to-day basis. And living by your own rules is not a very realistic way of going about life. Consideration, being considerate, is a pretty good trait to have. And that trait is gonna pay dividends when you actually do decide to live with someone. Most people on this earth do eventually live with people, either with their spouse, with a family, and you're gonna need to be considerate of others when you live with them. So it might be good to be developing those traits even when you don't need to. Living alone is not a good reflection of your life. It's not even reflective of family life. And therefore, you might not be teaching yourself the traits and behaviors you need to have in order to successfully live with someone or with a family. I would love to hear your thoughts on the matter though. For those of you who are living alone, what do you think of the points I brought up in this video? Why did you decide to live alone? And for those who are on the fence, who don't know if they want to live with roommates or live by themselves, has this video helped you in deciding whether you do want to live alone or not? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And like I mentioned earlier, whether you've seen my content before or this is the first time viewing one of my videos, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you can be notified every single time I come out with other great and similar content. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and smash that like button. YouTube loves it when people like my videos. It helps support this growing channel. Oh, and by the way, I'm also on Instagram, so feel free to follow me there as well. Thanks everyone, talk soon.